Thanks for coming, everyone. Before we start, I'd like to thank everyone for coming to the 2006 Mothman Festival. It's been a lot of fun, and I hope everyone got a lot out of it. Our final speakers tonight are the Prodigy Group. The Prodigy Group is a team of individuals forged from various high-profile organizations, including past memberships of the American Ghost Society, the MAJDA, and other history-related groups and organizations. With over 50 years of combined experience, they seek to collect data and study multiple aspects of the paranormal, including but not limited to the following subjects: hauntings, cryptozoology, UFOlogy, and history. They are primarily based around the Ohio Valley and will conduct interviews, surveys, and/or investigations surrounding all these topics and surrounding areas. Speaking today is David Mahan and Carol McCormick. So please welcome the Prodigy Group.
Hi everybody, my name is David Mahan. This is Carol McCormick. We're members of the Prodigy Group, actually the Prodigy Paranormal Group if you want the official name. We're based out of Dayton, Ohio, and we pretty much do, most of the investigations are around Cincinnati, Dayton, and Columbus, but we do travel abroad, not abroad, but outside of the normal area when we get a chance. I just want to thank everybody for coming out today and sitting in the scalding heat. So, just want to tell you guys kind of a little bit about us. We are members of different groups that kind of got together and decided to create a slightly different group than most of the organizations that we had been involved with before. And I use the word too much. Basically, we're going to talk today about I've got the giggles today. I've had no sleep. Hey guys, you gonna come down and talk with us? I don't know. We'll make up something. Okay. Anyways, back to trying to be serious here. We investigate, or at least try to investigate, hauntings, cryptozoology, and UFOlogy. And that's quite an undertaking, really for anybody to try to get into all three fields. But yeah, I'm doing real good today. Sorry, guys. You want to do your speech first?
No, you go ahead. You go ahead. You're doing good.
Okay, I'm going to put Carol on for a minute, and she's going to talk about background research technology, and I'm going to try to get my head put back together here real quick. So. Welcome, Carol.
Well, I've been asked to come up with another story than the one that I had yesterday, so I'm not quite prepared with this one I'm going to talk about today. But I'm going to talk about one that I know pretty much about, and it's called the Patty family. And we did a total of 4 investigations among 2 groups at this one site. And I had never heard of this urban legend. But the legend goes somewhat like there were 2 teenage girls hung back in the 1820s and 30s, something along that time frame, and they were hung by family members. And apparently the story goes when the family members came home from working in the woods and they saw the daughters hanging from the tree. And there's a couple different scenarios. Some of the scenarios are that both the girls were hung at the same time. Another scenario is that they were hung maybe days or months or years apart. And this is a site where a lot of teenagers used to go and hang out. And they would also hear screams in the middle of the night, and they would generally mostly just terrify each other into believing that there was something out there. But you never know. I always feel that urban legends are based on some kind of fact. I don't like to dismiss anything without researching it. So what we did after the first 2 teams went out, one was just a preliminary walkthrough to get a feel for the area. The other one was an investigation done in the spring, and there was a lot of overgrowth of the foliage, the trees and the brush. You couldn't get into the site very well. So we decided back November of 2005 to do an overnight investigation, which it was freezing. we decided to camp out overnight and have our equipment running. We got there, we set up a fire, we went down to a couple different sites, we set up our equipment, and we had camcorders. We had a camcorder that would go off if something crossed the path. It would shoot a picture, and that way we could capture what created that activity. And we went on back up to our campsite, and we hung out, and we told ghost stories, and we had a good time. We had just gone back down to check our equipment, and maybe about a half hour after we got back to the campfire and everybody was all comfortable again, and my feet were warm. And right after my mini cassette recorder's battery froze and I was too comfortable to get up and change them, of course, we heard this horrendous scream in the woods, and it was coming right from my left. And the first thing I thought was, it's one of the Patty girls. They're out there screaming in the woods. And there was a lot of things that race through your mind when you're presented with something like this. You revert back. I remember thinking, well, that's not the direction where the hanging tree is, and then you think, oh my gosh, I'm the one closest to the outside of the woods. It's going to get me first, And then everybody was just frozen in fear. I know I was. I couldn't even look. I couldn't move. I couldn't even turn to look to see what the rest of the team was doing. I just knew that they were thinking and feeling what I was thinking and feeling. So it shrieks. It's just an inhuman shrieking noise that you hear. And it's cold, and there's no leaves on the trees, and it just echoes through this wooded, abandoned area. And then finally, after about 3 shrieks and maybe 30 seconds, 40 seconds, it goes gobble, 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 gobble. So that kind of like blew it. Gobble, gobble, gobble. So at that point in time, we knew that it was some kind of animal, because no paranormal creature is going to blow something that horrendous with a little gobble, gobble, gobble. November. So, after we all wow, what equipment do we have going? Who captured it? Let's run back down and see if we got it on the camcorder down by the spring house. We realized that nobody had anything going that captured this horrendous scream. So of course we're all our adrenaline's going, and we stay up another hour or two right before the sun comes up. Then we crawl into the tents and proceed to freeze to death. But in the morning when the park ranger came by, we told him what we had heard, and he goes, oh, that's a barred owl. It's spelled B-A-R-R-E-D. Barred owl, and it's not really common in the area, but it does live in that reserve area. So one of our members has found a site whereby you can listen to that barred owl scream, and it will literally scare the pants off of you. But that was an experience that we had to live through to get to possibly the bottom and the conclusion of that urban legend. We also, the following weekend, we went out during daylight hours and we reconnoitered the entire area. What we did was we blocked off where we thought the homestead was into different quadrants. And we did this with tent stakes and rope. And we searched through each area and we labeled each area. And we found tremendous artifacts. We found pottery from 1803, 1810. We found a huge pine tree, maybe 80 foot tall, that later we found out was from the Patty original home site, which was North Carolina. They had brought a pine cone all the way from North Carolina to Ohio to keep some of their home there with them. And we kind of figured out that this was probably at the corner of the house. And that's where one of the markers were, and that's where we started investigating that whole area. We found things like the pottery that was 200 years old. We found nails, 100 years old or more. We had a great experience there. We could not prove the urban legend, but I think we disproved the urban legend. But we still want to go back and do some more research. There's still some things we want to check out. That's my story. Did anybody have any question about the site? No, it was really a lot of fun. It's in a reserve in central western Ohio, and almost into Indiana. It's on the National Road. Does anybody know about the National Road? Yes. Yeah, Dayton. Englewood Reserve. You're right. You know exactly where it is. Yeah. And National Road was the road that took all the pioneers from the east to the west during the migration, right around 1801, 1802, 1803. And the Patty family came from North Carolina in 1801, sorry. And that's where the whole legend starts. And they were Quakers. We did some research. We found a copy of the family Bible. We found articles about them in the Miami Memoirs, which was a historical society. We found birth and death records on the girls. We found 2 girls that did die, but we cannot confirm how they died. When we went to the microfiche in the local historical society, there was a section of newspapers missing around the time that we thought the girls might have, you know, died. Also, we found that there was a lot of disease prevalent, the influenza, diphtheria, so we don't know if they died from natural causes or from being hung. This is where we have to do some more investigation. And as we all know, unfortunately, when I've done genealogical research, women and girls were considered commodities, and they really weren't published in newspapers. They were only, their obituaries per se, were only noted in the newspapers if they were wives of famous husbands or if they had wealth. So there again, it's a problem to track women through history. So anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Hey, sorry about that, folks, but I think I'm about to pass out. Just real quick, I want to kind of explain a couple things about what vantage we're trying to look at the field as a whole from. And one of the things that we noticed almost immediately when we started becoming paranormal investigators was that we saw quite a bit of lack of standardization. And so to help illustrate that, does anybody, what do you think of when you think of the word ghost?